Dear participants, good morning. It is an enormous pleasure to receive all the participants of the 15th World Conference on Bioethics, Medical Ethics, and Health Law. This conference is an organization of the International Chair in Bioethics with the support of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Porto, under the auspices of the World Medical Association. For this opening ceremony, we call to deliver a presentation. Professor Nunes, President of the World Conference on Bioethics.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Governing Council of the International Chair in Bioethics, we welcome all of you to this 15th World Conference on Bioethics, Medical Ethics and Health Law. First of all, I would like to make my regards and compliments to the members of this panel, Dr. Lujain AlQodmani, President of the World Medical Association. Thank you very much for being with us. Dr. Otmar Kloiber, thank you very much. And indeed, it is very important for the International Chair in Bioethics to be a cooperating center of WMA, and I hope that this cooperation is fruitful in the future, so thank you very much to both of you. Professor Altamiro da Costa Pereira, that is Director of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Porto, where the Center of Bioethics is headed. Professor Sousa Pereira, the Rector, Dean of this university. Dear Director, dear Rector, thank you very much for the support of this World Conference. Without the support of the University of Porto, this conference would not be the same, so thank you very much to both of you. And Professor Natalia Oliva Teles, that is going to deliver the Amnon Carmi Award, although Professor Amnon Carmi is not here in presence. Professor Moti Ben-Jakar is going to receive the award on his behalf. Welcome to all of you to this World Conference that is organized by different partners, but essentially by the International Chair in Bioethics. As you know, or many of you know, the International Chair in Bioethics is a network created some 25 years ago by Professor Amnon Carmi, that unfortunately is not here today. But I would like to salute him, salute his family, all his people for this tremendous moment they are living. And of course, we expect that that problem is solved as soon as possible. Nevertheless, I salute Professor Carmi. He created this chair, again, 25 years ago, with a vision of creating the largest network in bioethics in the world, and indeed, he has succeeded. It is a large network with nearly 300 units and 3,000 volunteers all over the world. And they are exactly that, volunteers. They do that because of their spirit and their will to promote bioethics as a new way to see the ethics of life. So the International Chair in Bioethics is very pleased of organizing this conference. It is going to organize annually this kind of conferences as in the past. As you will see during this 15th conference, next year it will be in Brazil. It will be presented at the closing ceremony, the fantastic project that we are organizing in Brazil, Brasilia, in the city of Brasilia. And we expect that this chair keeps its way of promoting what? Promoting education for bioethics in schools, in universities, in hospitals, in healthcare professionals, but also to be also a center for scientific development and research in many different areas. And so we are now in a different level because we are in cruise control, so we have all the conditions to fulfill the vision and the goals of our founder, the honorary head of the chair, Professor Amnon Carmi. As you know, bioethics is relatively new as a science. It has only some 45 years old. Again, for the youngsters in the room, it's quite old. But when we speak of medical ethics, and we have here the World Medical Association, it's quite new. Because as you know, medical ethics has more than 2,000 years. And it served well healthcare professionals, and afterwards nurses, psychologists, etc. But there were some specific circumstances that led to the view that humanity should have a broader scope in ethics, that is not only in strict medical ethics and traditional values of physicians and other health care professionals. And the question is why medical ethics is so important. And again, the conference is on bioethics, medical ethics, and health law. And why is medical ethics so important, but humanity felt something different was needed? Well, first of all, due to scientific and technological development. I personally devoted part of my life in researching on human genetics, and anyone who knows something about genetics feels that something is missing about ethics and bioethics. The status of the human embryo, genetic engineering, genetic pre-implantation diagnosis, prenatal diagnosis. So all these capabilities and capacities that science, genetics, medicine has nowadays, and we need a broader scope to discuss these issues, and of course to have guidelines that physicians and other healthcare professionals might follow. So bioethics is, in a large sense, also a consequence of scientific and technological development. More recently, artificial intelligence is shaping completely the world, although most of us are not aware of that, but indeed it is changing. It will change not only the world we live in, but also medicine, and so I hope that the World Medical Association is very focused on this evolution. There are, for instance, some medical specialties that might be at stake, like radiology, because it is stated by researchers in this field that artificial intelligence will be more efficacious and more effective than humans. And more importantly, humans and even the most skilled physicians will not be able to determine how artificial intelligence is running and what the decision-making process is. That's the black box problem, as you know. So there are a lot of challenges in science, in technology, technologies at the end of life. For instance, in Portugal, like in many other countries, such as Spain, we just have approved the law on euthanasia, on active euthanasia. And so something was missing in the global discussion of the ethics of healthcare professionals on the one sense, and on the ethics of life on the other sense. But bioethics is not only an evolution from science, it's also a way of seeing humanity, and humanity that is centered in human values, like the respect for human dignity, for non-discrimination, the respect for fundamental and basic human rights. So this is a different language from traditional medical ethics. This is more centered in responsibilities, in duties, in professional duties. Bioethics speaks also of rights, of human rights in general, of women human rights, because gender equality is one of the main goals also of modern bioethics. And so I feel, and I personally agree with this vision, that humanity needs a common ground to discuss these issues, and the International Chair in Bioethics is following the consensual statement by UNESCO, the Universal Declaration of Bioethics and Human Rights, that it's what guides us, so that we can also speak the same language wherever we are in the world. So bioethics is also a consequence of assuming that each one of us builds his or her own ethical personality, of course, as a consequence of education, of our family, of our culture, of our religion, etc. But in democracy, if each one of us builds his own ethical platform to think and to deliberate. And again, it is possible, although we meet each other frequently as moral strangers, it is possible to get an agreement and a consensus, and that consensus, again, it can be reached. We reached such an agreement in Europe with the Council of Europe Declaration of Bioethics and Human Rights, and again at UNESCO at the world level with a similar declaration that is the one that we follow here. So again, and to finish, thank you very much for your presence here. We are striving for bioethics to be that vision that groups us together, because bioethics indeed is, on the one hand, an ethics, a huge ethics of life, but also love for life in itself. Love for life in itself, and I would finish saying, and I think it will be also a goal of this share, of this international share, that bioethics should also be love for peace in the world. Thank you very much.
Dr. Otmar Kloiber, Secretary General, World Medical Association.
Good morning. Dear Professor Nunes, President of the World Medical Association, Dr. Lujain, AlQodmani, Professor Oliva, Teles, Honorable Professors Costa, Pereira, Professor Sousa, Pereira, distinguished guests, dear colleagues. Let me first pay tribute to Professor Amnon Carmi, who cannot be with us today. I would wholeheartedly thank the International Chair of Bioethics for this ongoing cooperation we have. We highly appreciate the opportunity to meet and discuss with you. I'm personally happy again to be here after 1.5 years in Porto to this conference. The International Chair in Bioethics has grown enormously and with unmatched diversity. For us, this is of great importance as we want to work inclusively with all parts of the world. Times have become difficult. Some who wish to be here can't because war is at their door or in their homes. Political unrest destabilizes their countries in Africa, the Americas, Asia, and here in Europe. This is more than sad, it is actually tragic. And nothing has gone smaller during the last days than the hope that this can be resolved by peaceful means. The big divide, the Cold War, that we, I guess all, had hoped that it would be overcome, is creeping back in. And part of this may be due to our complacency. Have we believing that freedom, democracy, peace, justice, pluralism, and human rights are therefore granted. By now, we should know they are not. Those values of freedom, democracy, and justice don't come by themselves. And they don't stay by themselves. They must be earned, protected, and fought for again and again and again. The engagement for values, ethics, for dialogue and understanding is more necessary than ever. This is why I understand conferences like this more than just an academic gathering. You are instrumental to creating and keeping common values, and that makes your work important far beyond the educational and research domain. With that in mind, I wish you 4 days of productive exchange, growing friendship, and a continuation of the spirit of communality the International Chair in Bioethics has created. Thank you for your attention.
Dr. Lujain AlQodmani, President of the World Medical Association.
Co-presidents of the 15th World Conference on Bioethics, Secretary General of the World Medical Association, Director of Faculty of Medicine of University of Porto, Rector of the University of Porto, Organizing Committee of the Congress, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to address you today on behalf of the World Medical Association, a proud partner and a contributor to this convention. I must confess that this is my first time attending this esteemed conference, but I'm filled with excitement, anticipation, and enthusiasm to join its enlightening sessions, connect, and learn from you all. Esteemed colleagues, I stand before you today as a concerned physician, and I would like to outline some of the acute crises that the world is facing today, and also been highlighted by the previous speakers. With the humanitarian tragedies that are happening at this moment, healthcare professionals continue to be targeted and forced to face complex ethical dilemmas within the conflict settings. So these dilemmas comprise a spectrum of challenges, from navigating the complexities of limited resource allocation, maintaining neurality, impartiality, all the way to uphold patient autonomy, confidentiality, and the preservation of human dignity. Even in the face of personal safety concerns and the call for humanitarian assistance, the gravity of these challenges cannot be understated. Furthermore, we are currently in climate emergency. The science is clear. Climate change impacts on health are dire, and they're affecting both current and future generations alike. Climate change is a key factor in many of the intense emergencies that the world is facing today. Just this year, we have faced heat waves, wildfires, severe storms, and more. It is actually estimated that 3.6 billion people, let me repeat that, 3.6 billion people are currently living in areas that are highly susceptible to climate change. So with its dire health impacts comes even more complex ethical implications that actually require our urgent attention. Let me just mention a few. First, the disruptive justice as climate change disproportionately affects vulnerable populations. Intergenerational justice, as our actions today impact the world that we leave behind for future generations. Lastly, the artificial intelligence, and it was previously also highlighted by Professor Nunes. And I do assure you that the World Medical Association is currently addressing this important issue within the organization, and we hope we can address it also with the rest of the colleagues during this conference. So the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies have the potential to enhance the entire healthcare system. However, alongside benefits, there exists a critical need to address the ethical and the practical implications of this technology. These include concerns in relation to data privacy, bias, and the potential displacements of healthcare workers. It is imperative that we approach these technologies with caution to safeguard both patients and healthcare professionals, while of course celebrating and promoting innovation in healthcare. So this is only a short list of the challenges that the world faces today, which makes this platform, this gathering, and you, esteemed colleagues, your presence more important than ever to navigate these complexities and safeguard human rights and uphold the highest ethical standards. I look forward to attend this conference session and participate in rich discussions. Thank you.
Professor Altamiro Costa Pereira, Director of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Porto.
Dear Dr. Otmar Kloiber and Dr. Lujain AlQodmani, as representatives of the World Medical Association. Dear Professor Nunes and Professor Natalia Oliva Teles, who are the organizing committee and the hosts of this 15th International or World Conference on Bioethics. First of all, I must say that I'm very glad that Dr. Irene Gallo will be organizing the 16th conference, because Porto, unfortunately, have been all the time bad news for the world. Because I remember last time we had started a war in Ukraine with Russia. We were here in March, and the war started in February, and this time also a new war started a few, not even weeks ago. So I hope in Brasilia we can be much more relaxed and not having the third war starting. Hopefully not. I must say that Porto, however, and on the contrary of this bad news, Porto and University of Porto, of course, but the city of Porto much more, because we are an old city, a liberal city, a business city, have been throughout our history a place of meeting, a place of exchange, of cultural and business exchange. We are in the end of a large river, the second largest in Iberia Peninsula, and somehow we are connecting different types of worlds. We are connecting Mediterranean, and by connecting Mediterranean, we are connecting the Arabic countries, we are connecting the south of Europe, we are connecting, well, basically a large portion of the world, because we are connecting basically Africa, Asia, and Europe. But because of our position also in the Atlantic, we are also connecting the north of Europe. It's why you can taste in Porto bacalhau, codfish, and you can taste the bowels of our cows that we were exporting from very ancient times. Not mentioning, of course, the port wine, exporting it throughout the world. But we are also a place of departure and of arrival also to Brazil, also to Africa. Some people even say that we are the true capital of Portugal. At least we are the city that have started more than or almost 1,000 years ago this dream that have been to build up Portugal. I know, of course, that our first enterprise from Porto at that time was really the conquering of Lisbon to the Arabs. This was our first. But, you know, history is always a matter of a perspective, because the Arabs also have conquered us many, many years ago. They've started at the 7th century. And of course, they have followed the Germans, who have also conquered us in the 4th century. And they have followed the Romans, who have conquered us since more or less 2,000 years ago. But that they took 300 years also to conquer us. And before the Romans, we were already here, like, you know, other people, that because nobody really knows exactly who are the Palestinians or who are the Jewish. It really depends on the perspectives, and it really depends on the kind of history that we read. So, in fact, it is very, very difficult to trace back our roots. So, and maybe one of the reasons that we are so nice, I believe, that we are in receiving people, is that we don't really ask what this people's background is. Because I don't believe in genealogy, not at all. Because, in fact, everybody knows that at least 10% is wrong. Possibly 20% is wrong, because the fathers are not really the one that is supposed to be. So, I think there is two words that needs to be better and better understood, which is diversity and it is tolerance. And I believe this is a conference with plenty of diversity and plenty of tolerance. So hopefully this example will spread throughout the world, but then in the end of the day, it really needs also to have business, appropriate business, in order that people don't feel so much left, forgotten, and sometimes even oppressed. So one needs to get business done and to get people really in connection, and to not to increase, but to improve the division. The divisions can be of many kinds, can be, of course, divisions based on culture. They are strong divisions, the divisions based on culture, but can also be divisions based on income, based on access to many different things. So I hope that this conference, in a tiny way, can contribute to decrease these deficiencies. Thank you.
Professor António Sousa Pereira, Rector of the University of Porto.
Dear Professor Rui Nunes, Professor Amnon Carmi, President of the World Medical Association, Lujain AlQodmani, World Medical Association Secretary General, Dr. Otmar Kloiber, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Porto, Altamiro Costa Pereira, dear Dr. Natalia Oliva Teles, esteemed speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Almost a century ago, Marie Curie argued that science, and I must add, medicine, is the most precious part of humanity's moral patrimony. Ever since Hippocrates established the oath that obliged young Greek doctors 25,000 years ago to behave honorably among men and to do no harm or injustice, ethics and medicine have been interconnected and inalienable concepts like two parts of a single body. We live in times when science and medicine make extraordinary advances on an almost daily basis and at an unprecedented pace, advances which are often pushed forward by the urgency of their immediate application. Now, more than ever, the old alliance between knowledge and ethical values must be present in the mind and practice of each and every one of the researchers who dedicate themselves to discovering new innovative therapies, the boldness of which often slip through the existing legal frameworks. The law and those who pass it, guided by care and cautiousness, move at a much slower pace than science, creating a mismatch between medical and scientific practice and its legal framework. Awareness of the ethical responsibilities of science and medicine must thus be based first and foremost on an ethical imperative and an unshakable commitment on the part of the men and women that produce scientific knowledge to the women and men who make up humanity as a whole. Therefore, progress in medicine must, at its core, serve to lighten the burden of life and lessen its suffering, as Marie Curie also argued. I believe that this is the only way to ensure that even when it goes beyond the letter of the law, medicine does not stray from its spirit, scrupulously respecting the values and ethical principles that should guide all scientific activity. It is therefore with great satisfaction that as Rector of the University of Porto and as a doctor, I welcome this conference in Porto, organized by the International Chair in Bioethics, of which our Faculty of Medicine also forms part. It is therefore my duty to welcome you and to express our satisfaction at being able to host such a significant number of distinguished specialists in a field to which the University of Porto has paid particular attention, thanks in no small measure to the commitment and work of Professor Rui Nunes, whom I warmly thank and congratulate. Bioethics, medical ethics, and regulation of research in medicine today are one of the most decisive elements for the good and morally correct advancement in medicine, and consequently for the pursuit of the greater purpose of providing for human well-being. From the risks inherent in clinical trials to the careful weighing of the benefits and harms of a particular therapy, from genetic manipulation to the medical applications of artificial intelligence, as well as overdiagnosis or therapeutic excess, this conference will provide a wide range of decisive debates so that doctors, researchers, students, and lecturers of medicine are better able to fully and truly fulfill the mission set out by Hippocrates. Into whatsoever houses I enter, I will enter to help the sick. Thank you very much.
We're now going to proceed to the delivery of the Amnon Carmi Honorary Award. We give the floor to Professora Natalia Oliva Teles, Scientific Program Coordinator of the conference.
Professor Nunes, co-president of this conference, Professor Dr. Otmar Kloiber, Secretary General of the World Medical Association, Dr. Lujain AlQodmani, President of the World Medical Association, Professor Altamiro da Sousa Pereira, Director of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Porto, Professor António Sousa Pereira, Rector of the University of Porto, distinguished speakers of this opening ceremony, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today to distinguish Professor Amnon Carmi for his dedicated career to bioethics, particularly to the International Chair of Bioethics, and to offer him a much-deserved award. Professor Carmi's short biography is available in his International Chair of Bioethics website, and therefore I will not describe it here. However, I will briefly say that he has been particularly relevant due to his teaching, defense, and promotion of human rights in general and bioethics in particular. If I were to describe Professor Carmi in 3 ethical principles, I would choose number 1, beneficence, number 2, justice, and number 3, resilience. Beneficence, because he is recognized by thousands of colleagues, teachers and students in the world who consider him their role model, always ready to help. Justice, for which having been a prominent judge has certainly helped, being fair is really in his nature. And resilience, because during his long life, troubled by so many disturbances, he has always found time to observe, analyze, understand, give advice, and on top of all this, make the best positive impact from any negative situation. Professor Nunes and the organizing committee are delighted to award Professor Amnon Carmi this distinction in 2023. This is particularly relevant this year as we speak because courage, determination, and hope have been really a constant in Professor Carmi's life. As Professor Carmi cannot be here today, Professor Moti Ben-Yakar has agreed to accept this award on his behalf. I would ask Professor Moti Ben-Yakar to come forward.
I was not prepared to say those words because for me, it's now I am very nervous and only to say thank you for all of you, to Professor Nunes, and all these important authorities that are here. For me, I am very emotive because I am working with Professor Carmi for 25 years. I am one of those that found this network, this institution. What we try all the time with Professor Carmi is to perceive, trying to work for equity, for human rights, and for those people that they want a real dialogue between peoples. I, myself, I am an Israeli and Argentinian citizen. I was in every word of Israel, 5 words there, and now I come from there. I feel what the horror can do it. And I think that we have to be minded, that we have to continue working for dialogue, for consent, for the rights of all Israel people as they have the Palestinian people the same rights to continue living together. We were in front. We have to know that the terror, it's not our way of dealing with between peoples. This is what I think that our institution, our aim of bioethics have to work to continue peace in the world by dialogue, by feeling what are the rights of the human to live together. And I promise that I will continue working with this. Thank you very much.
Wants to show the work. Please take it and show it. I know it's very moving.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the award. This is the award.
Before the closing of the opening ceremony, a short video on bioethics and cinema will be presented. To close this opening ceremony, we invite the musical tuner of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Porto to make a presentation.
called Calingua. We hope you enjoy.
Dear participants of the 15th World Conference on Bioethics, Medical Ethics, and Health Law, this opening ceremony has come to an end. Thank you very much, and we wish all of you an excellent stay in Porto.